Just nothing ever seems to go my way sometimes. Anyway, good evening, my fellow Kindred or K-Knights, depending on what your preference is. Welcome to episode 4 of Vampire the Masquerade Coteries of New York, live on the Law by Night YouTube channel. And as I await for individuals to arrive onto the stream, a little bit of admin things to do whilst I wait for an audience to gather. So, what happened last time? Quite a lot. We met a very interesting Malkavian, a very interesting Tremere, and some dude who tried to get us killed in a church. That's basically how we can summarise what just happened. We awoke the next night with a lot of hunger, and Gregory appears to be at the door. Just give it a couple of minutes, maybe a minute, just to see if anybody wishes to join and say hello. To the one person who's joined thus far, thank you very much for stopping by. See if there's a few more individuals who'll be joining us. And it doesn't appear that I can do anything to edit the video description of live stuff from where I am. Perhaps if I was on the PC, I'd have been able to do something about it. But alas, here we are. No matter. I'll just do all of that stuff later. I might as well check to see if the message, the automated bot message, appeared on the Discord server, for the Law by Night Discord server. Hello there, Helton. Thank you very much for joining me this afternoon, evening or morning, wherever it is in your place in the world. Presuming via that it did end up on the Discord. It did. Huzzah. Now for the Twitter. This afternoon you're also joined by my delightful dogs, Emma the Cavapoo, who is currently asleep by my side, and Holly the Cavalier, who's just gone exploring around in my garden. Which doesn't mean anything to you lot, because there isn't a camera for reference. And there's a great big fucking wasp that's just floating in my living room. Or was it a bee? I'm gonna prop open that back door a bit more. Go on, Mr. B. There we go. Ah, the message was sent. Huzzah. Right. Apologies. Standing up and getting down, it just requires work on my half. Exercise isn't my forte. Yes, well, if I did this professionally, I would have some decent setup going on. I think with the PS4 you can connect like the special camera thing and just like point it at them. Maybe when this crisis is over I'll do that. Oh good. It did send to the old Twitters. Right. There's a couple minutes in. 3 minutes in fact. Let's get started. Not long after you wake up tonight, Gregory knocks on the door of your apartment. Hey, I came to pick you up. Miss Langley wants to see you. What if I don't want to see her? Well, my freedom was good while it lasted. The top one seems more neutral. Any idea what she needs me for? I'm not in the position to ask. Fair enough. He smiles politely. The car's waiting. Shall we? You wrestle with the same thoughts as a few nights ago. Maybe you should just leave. Disappear? Let Sophie find somebody else to employ. But then you remember the Anarch thug being cut down by Kadir and how close you were to the same fate. Not even a week ago, and that it might still happen if you step out of line. You follow suit. As with your previous visit here, Sophie seems not entirely present when you enter. Her eyes are locked onto one of the paintings in the room. There's a surprise. You're pretty sure it was here earlier, but she's behaving as she's seen it for the first time in her life, entirely entranced. Going with the whole toreador, oh I like pretty things thing with Sophie it seems. And Holly, what on earth have you been doing? She's just come back inside, she's just covered in anything garden related. She just likes exploring. I had to rescue her because she climbed on the windowsill this morning. Anyway, Gregory clears his throat. Sophie turns to the both of you, a bit of irritation in her countenance that soon gives way to a pleasant, warm smile. You're here. Excellent. Thank you, Gregory. Her driver leaves and she turns her attention to you. I hope you had a good night and made sure... I hope you had a good few nights and made some new acquaintances, but I have to say, I'm happy to see you. Caesar, thank you for coming. The change in mood of the room is so sudden and startling, it makes you consider the true power of vampiric charisma. Rationally, you know you're being manipulated, but you don't even care. Her eyes, her motions, her entire body language all feel 100% genuine in expressing legitimate interest in you and your well-being. Some presents going on, it seems. I have a request for you this night. I need you to find somebody for me and make a delivery. Ooh. She points to the statue at the side of the room. You notice a plain-looking flash drive lying on the edge where an inanimate archer's bow touches the pedestal. Ah yes, I can see it in the background. The man you'll be looking for calls himself Kaiser. He has eyes and ears all over New York, and it's rare for something to happen here without his knowledge. Sounds like a Nosferatu. I'll need you to take this flash drive and bring it to him. In exchange, he'll give you an address, which I need to know as soon as possible. Sounds simple enough, but it's probably mean it's going to hit me right in the face. You're about to ask what's on the drive, but Sophie proves to be one step ahead of you. Oh, don't worry about the contents. They are encrypted, a precaution if the data falls into the wrong hands. But it won't, correct? She gives you a smile that, just a handful of nights ago, would make you feel like melting. Oh, and Caesar? Kaiser is a Nosferatu. Of course he is. Kaiser is a Nosferatu, that twisted, deformed lineage of Kindred. He is old, and his age has made him even more paranoid than others of his clan tend to be. Well, I like to argue that Toreadors are the different side of the same coin of the Nosferatu, but that's just my totally biased opinion. He holds many havens and changes them often. From what I've gathered, he or one of his servants should be found at the park at Coney Island tonight. You'll have to identify them somehow. I told Kaiser has spent many of his nights these past few years being driven around the city in a black limo. I like this Nosferatu. Ooh, maybe keep an eye out for it. That smile again, but much shorter. Anything more you can tell me about Kaiser? Kaiser or Kaiser? I'm gonna go for Kaiser, like Kaiser Chiefs. He's been a long time. Don't you think that... Oh, I think they are. But I got the impression, from the fact that she's brought it up, that he's particularly paranoid. Who knows? But yeah, I can imagine the Nosferatu, given what they are very paranoid. You know, they collect secrets, so who knows who's going to stab him in the back. And of course, their visage is rather hideous. He's been here for a long time, about as long as I have. He got into a lot of trouble for exchanging information with both the Anarchs and the Camarilla in the past, but ultimately got off scot-free. I think there's a flaw in V20 that's that. I can't remember what it's called, but I can remember like the opening sentences, you've put too many fingers in too many pies or something. Kaiser's web of information proved to be strong enough to shield him from the consequences of playing both sides. Some say that's the best proof of his abilities. In any case, be careful when talking to him. He's very particular about everyone's etiquette except his own. Good night, and good luck. I think that might be the name. That rings a bell. Because I believe a lot of the merits, archetypes and things carry over from Revised to V20. I don't know because I don't own Revised. It's just something I've noticed from the snippets I've seen here and there. She flashes one last smile at you and turns back to the painting, clearly done with the conversation. You pocket the flash drive and head out toward Coney Island. It takes you the better part of an hour to reach the lights and sounds of the Coney Island amusement park from the city. The drive is almost pleasant this time of night. Thank God for the Belt Parkway. I don't know what any of these are. I presume these are all legitimate New York things. V20 is like all of revised... Ah, cool. Makes you wonder actually why they did V20 then, if revised was just that. I think there are some law differences, like the Gangrel. I think they're independent in revised, but I could just be making stuff up now at this point. There are plenty of people here tonight, but nobody who stands out as a travelling purveyor of secrets. Oh yes, of course. Holly snores a lot, you know the drill by now. Weird noises, it's probably her. Barking, it's the other dog. There are plenty of people here tonight, but nobody who stands out as a travelling purveyor of secrets. Then again, if they did stand out, it would be a kind of pointless, right? Only recently... Thank you very much, Michael. That's very much appreciated. Because I'm no voice actor, and I just tend to do a caricature of myself. So, it's nice to see that you and so many others like what I'm doing. It's very encouraging. Nothing to do but figure out the right approach. We've got a lot of hunger going on, which is the red stuff around the side, like the tears. We're not going to ask around, because that would probably cause trouble. Search for signs of Kaiser. I'm going to play it safe. Well, I suppose... I'm going to go for the middle one. There's something in my chest telling me to go for the middle one. There's plenty of nooks and crannies to investigate around here, but if Kaiser frequents this area, there has to be some kind of clue to grab onto, right? You spend a good hour snooping around, eyes peeled for the black limo Sophie mentioned. Jesus, that's a lot of searching. Or any sign that Nosferatu or any vampire has their haven around these parts. That was my understanding of V22. It's just everything in one... Well, mostly everything in one book. I can imagine. Zilch. Annoyed, you turn back towards the lights of the amusement park, only to find a man standing in your way, wearing an oversized jacket. He had the air of a junkie or dealer about him. Who knows what he's got in those pockets? You lost? Sophie said there was an associate of his, but I'm just going to be cautious. Maybe I'm not. What's it to you? What kind of answer is that? You a spook? A fed? He looks at you intently, like he's trying to guess your real purpose here. Get out of here before I kick your ass. Chill, I'm just looking for a guy, drives around in a black limo, stops here sometimes. Ring any bells? No idea what you're yapping about. He's a terrible liar, clearly full of shit. Listen, I was sent here by Sophie Langley. She has something for Kaiser. I need to contact him and hand it over. Nothing more to it. Don't know her, and I told you already. I don't know who Kaiser is either. He sees the doubt in your face. Fuck it. Stay right there. He produces his phone. It's a fancy model, doesn't look like anything readily available on the market. Most phones look the same these days to me. Maybe it's because I'm not that into phones. Anyway, unless it's got like the newest iPhone that has like 1 billion cameras. Unlocks it, dials a number, 2 tones go by. A voice on the other end. Sorry to bother you again, boss. Yeah, I know how much you need your alone time. That sounds very nice. There's somebody here who wants to see you. They're with... Langley? Sophie Langley. Yeah. A string of loud obscenities fill the phone. The man winces and pushes it away from his ear, and the call stops. Almost immediately a chime. The Count's laugh from Sesame Street. Oh, the Count's laugh from Sesame Street? Wow. Announces a new message sent to the phone. I'm guessing this guy we're speaking to is Kaiser's ghoul? He's, on his way. Don't go anywhere. The inside of the limo used to be a luxury lounge, the kind with a stripper pole with a bar full of alcohol, but it currently has none of that. Instead, there are monitors and consoles. Did I miss a bit of dialogue, or did it just... Oh, right, okay, it just went straight to that. There are dozens of displays, each one showing something different. Surveillance camera footage, stock market quotes, television news, emails, tweets, silent movies, lo-fi footage of a gory torture session. I was going to say, I was enjoying this Nosferatu up until that last bit. You wonder if the limo's owner can focus on anything while surrounded by all this visual noise, and then realise there's nobody there. Or is there? Do-do-do-do-do. A man blinks into existence on a leather-covered couch, attempting to maintain something that approximates a regal presence. You're 100% sure it's Kaiser. Surrounded by dimly lit computer screens, his features are even more ghastly than you imagined. All sharp angles of twisted bone, mangled flesh, and crooked teeth. He bears them in an awfully parody of a smile. The doors close behind you. Now that is one sweet-ass limo. I'm going to have to guess that this is like a portable haven, and I love it. Ooh. Yikes. So, the waste of good blood outside tells me Sophie Langley sent you, huh? You've got something for me. You reluctantly pull the flash drive from your pocket and slowly pass it to Kaiser. Yeah, bet he makes all sorts of friends with that delightful smile. He plugs it into a USB port on the arm of his chair, oh fancy, and displays the data on one of the screens that happen to be turned away from you. It takes him about a minute to access the data. Who do you people think I am? I saw this footage a week ago. He removes the flash drive and throws it back at you in disgust. Tell Sophie the deal's off. She wants her address, she can give me something else. I'm trying to remember what the red bit means. Does that mean that we are so hungry that we've unlocked that option? Yeah, I thought so too. I get Donald Trump vibes from this guy, from like the tie and the hair. Which one should we go for? The hunger one or presents? Ah yes, it is hunger. I can see the ankh with the teeth. Right, we're that hungry that we've unlocked that response. So which one? Hunger or presents? I'm gonna... Is there a tutorial? Ah, I'm glad I wasn't the only one who thought that. Is there a tutorial, or is it just the dictionary option on lines? Is there anything in the pause menu? Nope. I'm gonna do a quick Google check. Just to clarify what the red one is, because I really want to try it out. Yes, I thought so too, but I seem to remember, I think it was in the first episode, it was describing the different options, like, it's related to hunger, yes, but I think it pops up because your hunger is so low that you've unlocked the option. I'm just going to Google that. VTM Coteries of New York. Red dialogue. I spelled dialogue wrong again, but... Come on, internet. No, that hasn't helped. That's just giving me reviews. It's very clear what I've asked for. I don't know why it's just giving me reviews. Red is blood. Your hunger grows stronger when you choose that option, if I remember right. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so what I'm going to do, because this game only saves when you hit save and exit. So what I'm going to do, just as a safety precaution, I'm going to... Oh, I've saved it. I'm going to hop back in. I'm going to try it. And if it goes really tits up, we'll just hop on. But I don't think that'll work then. Because then... You know what? Sod it. Let's go... I'm just reading what it says. Ask how you can make it up to him. This doesn't have anything to do with us. He seems like a real shit. Basically, we're sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place, because if we use the discipline, the hunger's going to grow. If we use the red one, the hunger's going to grow. And if we choose that one, he's just going to slap us. Sod it, I'm going to choose the middle one. Oh, I chose that. Oh, I can't choose it because my hunger's... Alright, it's presents then. You take on the most persuasive voice and immaculable stance you can in what basically consists... I know how to say that word. Constitutes the lair of What? Megalomaniacal monster. I know how those words are supposed to sound. Oh, red is blocked due to the hunger then. I thought it was because it unlocks that option if we were particularly hungry. Oh well. Because it said ages ago and I've just forgotten. Like things have happened. Come on, man. Don't send me back empty-handed. Take the date and all the deal. It'd mean a lot to me. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, dear. I should have chose the first option then. The sound the Nosferatu produces is supposed to be laughter. You think. You're pretty sure he'll fall over and die at any second if it's anything other than that. Ooh, look at me. I'm so pretty and well-spoken. I'm going to feed you this bullshit and you're going to cram it in and ask for seconds. Who the fuck do you think you are? You know what I should do for you to try and pull that trick on me? I should mutilate your face and rub sulphur into the wounds, rip your tongue out and use it to stuff a fucking turkey. I'm not sure whether I love or hate this guy. Only see, I'm in a gracious mood tonight. Plus, I hate turkeys. They disgust me. So I'm going to give you a chance to make this transgression up to me. I'll contact you. Maybe I'll even throw in that stupid address so Lanny can shove it up her cunt. Jesus, he's blunt. Hello, Northern Shaman. No, he ain't dicking about. But right now, unless you want me to get really pissed off, you'll show yourself out. I feel that all the options that we're going to choose are just going to lead to this point where we're going to have to do something for him. I think the toy always embraced, yes. Yeah, this is night 6, so it's like the 6th night of us being a Toreador. But sometimes we've used presents on other vampires and it's worked, so... And I think the first one he would just thank it like eating us. You're pretty sure you're done here. You get out, close the door behind you, and the car immediately starts backing up. The opaque windows slide past you, and soon the limo is on its way. Kaiser's lackeys nowhere to be seen, so you make your way to your car and drive back, wondering what tomorrow brings. Oh, rest. You're walking down the streets towards your haven. In some other town, the sidewalks would be I'll try that again. In some other town, the sidewalks would be deserted this time of night. In NYC, there are plenty of passerbys going about their business. That should be passers-by. Passers-by. Oh, like, no. Bad Jack. You can English. It is your natural native language. It's easy to be paranoid when you're a vampire surrounded by a crowd of humans. The Kindred have many enemies, and all those enemies have one trait in common. They're invisible. Indistinguishable from normal humanity. Other vampires, hunters, all look like people. Is that old man just a tired restaurant worker, or a Kindred thrall tailing your movements? Are the officers idly waiting in a patrol car ordinary cops, or Second Inquisition specialists looking to end undead threats? This kind of thinking leads to madness, but you can't shake the feeling that someone is watching you. It's not the first time you felt like this. Following the queue of many mortals around you, you stop at a street corner to casually survey your surroundings, as if you were trying to remember which one to take. You look around at street signs, but in reality to see if someone is really following you. Down the street where you came from, a crowd of young drunk men arguing about baseball. There's an indistinct figure standing behind them, almost impossible to notice. I'm doing this reading thing dreadfully tonight. Afternoon. God, I'm just speaking dreadfully. A woman, probably. The man unconsciously moving around her as they start to walk away, still mouthing off at each other. Whatever this is, it's probably something you have to take care of. Best case, someone is tailing you. Worst case, you'll be attacked and killed. Unfortunately, being undead has its limitations. The sun is coming up soon and you'll burn to a crisp if you stay on the streets. Oh, so this is still the same night? Well, going back to the Haven, because it said rest, I thought this is the new night. Yeah, lots of fancy words. The writers really love that, using flowery language. My throat's gotten dry, so I'm just going to take a little sip of water. Ah. Remarkably neutral. Oh, okay, no confrontation then. Unless the person's entering our haven. You reach your haven and settle in for the day, disconcerted by the idea that someone might know where you sleep. Okay, now we're properly resting. Okay. As you awake from your slumber and emerge from your haven for the night, you notice a familiar face on the other side of the street, standing on the corner and looking straight at you. Yeah, fun fact, I'm allergic to tea, so just, yeah, I've just shat all over the British idea that we all drink tea and play cricket. It's Kaiser's lackey whom you met recently, Jackie. He nods to you, encouraging you to approach. I'm presuming this is the dude that was stalking us. His hands are outside of his pockets, as he seems pretty relaxed. He's keeping his eyes on the street, though, as if making sure you're alone. Only biscuits, then. Gluten-free biscuits, because I have many allergies as well. He smiles awkwardly when you approach. Evening. Got something from you from our mutual friend. He produces a crumpled piece of paper from his jacket pocket and hands it to you. See, one of the things I like about his design, Jackie's design, they've adhered to there's a book in the V20 line called Ghouls and Revenants, which is one of my favourite V20 books about ghouls and revenants, and it goes through what each of the weaknesses are for each ghoul, for each clan. And the Nosferatu ghouls don't become disfigured or horrible, they just look a bit pasty and ill, and they probably start smelling after a while. So I like it with that, they've done this with the blotchy skin. Read it, memorize it, then give it back. Oh, then give it back here. It's a letter. The paper might just be a page ripped out of a spiral notebook, but the writing on it is exquisitely detailed and deliberate. It reads, "Time to square your debt with me. Go to the wine shop at 232 Mulberry Street and ask for the 1821 Special Reserve Donatello Negramaro." I don't know how that's pronounced, but I'm not feeling particularly comfortable pronouncing the first 5 letters of that. And I feel we're going to be tested on this, so I'm going to cheat and take a picture of it on my phone. Cool, it's clear enough. When they tell you don't have it, say you are that. Those exact fucking words. And make sure you get the G right. Okay, I think this is another picture time. Huh. Dark bitter. I mean, it looks Italian. But that's just my poor understanding. I know a bit of Italian because I read and perform music, sheet music, and a lot of it is written in Italian. Like, tempo directions and performance directions and such, so I know the odd phrase. Anywho, you'll get a bottle. Just take it and leave by saying, Grazy. Don't know how much it is or anything else. Just walk out. When you have it, come back to Jackie Boy here and let him know. As I thought. Italiane. I don't do accents very well. I don't do my own accent very well at all, actually. I'm supposed to sound in real common and chav. E. You done? Memorise that shit and hand it over. The G family might be a clue for that. Oh, yeah, of course. Duh. Foreshadowing. I was too busy taking pictures and just reading things. I just didn't even think. Yes. Don't peg your best was the Doesn't peg your boss the letter kind of guy. Isn't electronic communication his whole shtick? Yeah, well, some things are better done this old-fashioned way. You about done with the letter? You note the phrases and address mentioned in the letter, then hand it back to Jackie. He immediately reaches for a lighter and burns the letter, putting out the ashes with his boot. Oh, whenever I try and do Russian, it sometimes ends up being African, sometimes it's German, and sometimes it's just disgusting to listen to. So yeah, when you do what the boss asks, come back here so I can tell you where to go next. Oh, great. It's a trip in 2 parts. I'll be in that alley over there, so find me when you have the item. Whatever it is. I don't know, and the boss made it extra clear I shouldn't care. So I don't. See ya. He shuffles away and leaves you to pursue the lead from the letter. Time to pay a visit to Nolita. You arrive at the address mentioned in the note. Not counting local restaurant patrons, the street is mostly empty at this time of night. But curiously, the wine shop is still open. Yes, wine shop. Inside, a small middle-aged woman with curly hair stands behind the counter in front of a wall filled with wine bottles. There's a door at the back of the room with a small table and chair, occupied by a man in a black fur leather jacket with slick combed black hair. Oh good, the dogs didn't bark because that actually sounds a lot like my own doorbell. He's reading a newspaper, but pauses a little bell rings when you open the door. He takes a sip from a small steaming cup, then gets back to his sheet. I recognise that woman. I might have seen that artwork before. I don't think we've actually seen her in the game as of yet. Anyway. Good evening. How can I help you? A friend told me that this is the place to get a bottle of that. What did you say it was? Something bitter, dark bitter, right? She gives you a curious look. No, I'm sorry. I don't think we have that one. Your friend must have been talking about that. She turns to take a weathered bottle off the shelf behind her. Recite the... Well, we're playing this little game here, so... The middle one? because that one's just a bit too blunt. Because this is all to be like backhanded stuff going on. Somebody might be listening. Which one should we go for? Middle one seems better. Alright. I'm sure I'll find a bottle of that. She raises an eyebrow. Let me see if we have any in the back. Yeah, I was thinking not. Just, you know, there's ever so slightly different wording between all of them, and each one has a very different connotation. The woman leaves the counter and goes through the doors in the back. The man by the... I think I just missed... Did I just miss a bit of dialogue there? No, we did... No, cool. The man by the table puts down his newspaper and takes another sip from the cup, washing it down with a gulp of water from the nearby glass. He tries to hide it, but there's no doubt he's watching you. About a minute passes. Borrow the guy's newspaper. Which one? Well, actually, we don't. Let's choose the top one, perhaps. I was thinking that for the shits and giggles, but I have a feeling that may cause a bit of a fight. Unless, of course, the other two individuals who are currently watching the stream can help us decide a bit. It's really difficult. You have no idea what's going to happen. I think choosing the... Sounds like you... Yeah, that was kind of like... You just... Yeah, I just... Literally just taken the newspaper from him. Don't want to spoil the fun. I think we'll be safe and silent and wait. No. Well, this is tough. I'm not sure if the bottom one would, I think the bottom one is the worst option, now that I think about it. I'm going to go for the top one. You remind yourself of what Kaiser wrote in the letter and keep quiet, patiently waiting for the woman to return with the back of the store, from the back of the store. The man finishes his drink and starts doodling on the newspaper, his eyes darting to you every so often. The doors to the back of the store open. The proprietor emerges with a small, unlabelled, squat bottle of crimson liquid. She gives you an apologetic smile. Excuse, sorry for taking so long. Turns out we did have it. She offers you the bottle and reaches out to grab it, but she retracts it. You do know what this is, don't you? Why would we use presents here? We're playing this game of... We're playing a game here. Why are we trying to chat this woman up? Something about the face she makes gives you the impression you blew it. Oh, shit. The woman looks over to the guy at the table. But we were playing this game that it was wine. Ugh. The woman looks over to the guy at the table and he stands up. You decide there won't be a better time and snatch the bottle from her hands. The man draws a gun from a side holster as you make a run for it. Ugh, shit, we're doing so well. 7 more gunmen pour from the back door. Shots ring out, piercing your undead flesh, but you're fast and miss the mark. Yeah, it should. By the time you make it out of the street and lose the pursuit, you see you have a few new bullets holes to patch up. The bottle is, thankfully, intact. You make your way back to the car cautiously and drive back to your apartment. It takes you some time to find a parking spot, but you finally get out of the car and start looking for Jackie. He's not far from where you parted ways just under 2 hours ago. Got the goods. Got it, but it was a hassle. Oh, boo-hoo. Stick around. I gotta make the call. Fair dues. He takes a few more steps into a narrow space between the two buildings and takes out the same high-tech phone you saw him carrying last time. Hey, boss. Yeah, they have it. Where do I point them to? Okay. Yeah, I'll tell them to go there right away. He puts the phone back in his pocket and turns back to you. Willets Point. Half an hour. So you better step on it. See you around. With only a flippant salute, Jackie starts walking down the street. You make your way back to the car and drive. God, that has really annoyed me that happened. We were playing this game, it was wine, and I didn't like Presence because just constantly we're having to chat her up, and it's not like she's attractive or anything either, so that's not really the thing. It's just, I just thought it was unnecessary and crass. Well, I'm just getting rid of those photos now that I took whilst I vent. Ugh. Right. You had to push the speed limit to make it on time, but you're here. Willets Point is quite a change of scenery. The place is a post-industrial dump, but the nearby stadium notwithstanding. You stop your car once you realise that if you go any further down, the potholes will kill your chassis. You step out onto one of those gashes and an asphalt. What? Asphalt. Splashing in the ankle-deep water. Kaiser's limo is nowhere to be seen. In fact, the whole place is pretty much deserted, other than the apparent proprietor of a lonely bar, a middle-aged woman who's just locking the place up. Yeah. I did not consent to the idea of Presence just being a constant, I want to put my dick in you option. Like, no. And why is waiting for Kaiser a hunger option? Feeding opportunity, bar owner. Yeah, I'm going to work on trying to get some of our hunger down. Because I've just noticed on the top of the screen some of those tears pulsating, and I seem to remember that if that happens, we're like close to frenzying or whatever. This is too perfect for an opportunity not to take advantage of. She's walking to her car, ready to call it a knife, and you sneak up on her. She's far too tired to resist your strong hold and swift bite. Yeah. Not a fan of that section, and there goes our hunger. The tears have disappeared. You could taste the caffeine in her veins, smell the cheap cigarettes in her hair, the old cooking grease in her clothes. She passes out. Your salt is the closing note of a long day at work. You let down her gently and feel a pan of remorse. You pick up the car keys she dropped and place her in the driver's seat. She'll find an explanation for finding out at this for sure. The bright lights of a car pulling over down the road illuminate you as you close the door. It's a black limo. Kaiser is finally here, it would seem. Same as last time, the car doors open but nobody comes out. You know the drill. This time Kaiser is visible when you look inside. You sit down and close the door behind you. Heard there was a shootout at Mulberry. I told you to stick to the fucking script, did I? You have the bottle. Give it here. You hand the bottle over to the Nosferatu. He uncorks it gently, takes a whiff, and puts the cork back in. Yeah, that's the stuff. I can see you're useful beyond your charm with the subtlety of a battering ram. Good to know. Here's Langley's precious address. He passes you an envelope with what feels like a thick card inside. Think you still owe me a bonus. I don't want to choose the top option, but I think the top option is going to be the best thing as we've pissed him off. Thank you, Mr. Kaiser. Yeah, I'll send Jackie over if I ever need anything else from you. How about that? Oh, alright, fuck you too then. Time for you to get out now. He waves you out of the car with the envelope in hand. You get out, back into the torn ashbat and in the surroundings. The limo slowly drives away. Finally, you return to Sophie and bring her what she wanted. Gregory lets you in. You hear a shrill, unpleasant laugh and you realise Sophie's having a guest over. He's the man from Elysium, the one with the glasses and good taste in suits. You didn't have a chance to talk to him the last you saw him. Well, we did, but we just chose not to talk to him. Ah, Caesar, so glad to see you. Tell me, did the two of you previously meet? The man doesn't wait for your answer. He approaches you with an energetic, almost dance-like step and puts out his hand. Deacon. What's a deacon? Oh, doesn't he look snazzy? Probably another Toreador. Thomas Ottorio. I've heard about you. Pleasure. Thomas is a great source of gossip and an excellent conversationalist. There we go. Because I hear deacon and I feel like religious deacon. Like bishop, archbishop sort of thing. I also have the prince's ear. Oh, is this dude the harpy? I also have the prince's ear, which is the primary reason dear Miss Langley wished to speak to me tonight. Good gossip, even coming from me, isn't nearly as valued. Sad. Ah. My school had a variety of horrible, well, not horrible, unpleasant deputy heads over the years. Nice ones now, but some of them were just a bit odd. There's this weird politic games going on with who's to be the top deputy head. The directors. Well, that just makes school sound sinister. Sophie is taken back by the man's direct comment, but smiles politely. The awkward atmosphere is broken again by the guest's grating laugh. I kid, of course. I kid. Well, I was supposed to leave anyway, so I'll leave you two to it. Good night, Sophie. Caesar. Gregory boy. Sophie's driver opens the door for Ottorio, and the guest steps out with a single wave of the hand towards his host and you. The door closes. He's quite the character, isn't he? Yes, quite. But he has his uses. Thomas has clout in court and access to many juicy details on everyone from the prince to the lowliest primogen. It's useful to have him on your side, even if his eccentricity requires some patience. I think he's the harpy, which how to describe the harpy quickly? I know what the harpy is. They set the sort of this. They find out what's hip and hop happening in a domain and set the fashion trends, as it were. I suppose they're kind of high up in the Camarilla hierarchy. As a glorified messenger as well. Did I read that bit of dialogue? I can't remember. I was too busy thinking. No, it's a dictionary. Huh, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we read that bit of previous dialogue. Cool. Speaking of patience, you have been putting mine to the test. Oh dear. Did you manage to contact Kai's and acquire what I asked for? The messenger is the herald. Oh. No. Not perfect. I get things wrong. Bitch, give me some gratitude. No. Not going to upset Blood Mummy more than we have done. Yes, I have it, but the date you offered was old news to him. I had to do another job for him before he would give me this card. She retrieves the envelope from you. I'm sure he did. I do hope it wasn't too much of an inconvenience. Yeah, I got shot at. He's just a huge prick. He's got a servant named Jackie. He was a pain to deal with. You're not going to tell him about the fact that that's the Giovanni, presumably, popped 50 caps into our ass. I hear all of his calls are like that. The apple never falls far from the tree, it would seem. Yes, Sophie is of Clan Toreador, and it was hinted that she's on a path of enlightenment because, which was it? It was episode 2, when we were first introduced to her apartment, that we had the whole tutorial of, like, Vampire 101. She mentioned about humanity, and then she said that she followed a different path. She actually said, like, I follow a different path of enlightenment, and enlightenment was in a capital E. Which is interesting, because this is the V5 timeline, and path of enlightenments don't really exist, as such. So yeah, the short, Sophie is of Clan Toreador. And so's Caesar, who's the Toreador that we're playing as. Because you're given the choice of Toreador, Bruja, or Ventru. There are different art sprites for them, and they have a different prelude, I believe. Anyway, she opens the envelope and looks at the card. You notice the same letter when you saw Kaiser's note from before, but you can't see the details. Her eyes widen. Yes, excellent. I need to call in some favours. I will likely be busy for the next few nights. You have my permission to show some initiative, my charge. I will contact you soon. With that, Sophie ushers you outside, and you are left to do with the rest of the night's hours as you like. Cool. Somebody's watching me. Oh, that was the dude that was probably stalking us. I thought it was Jackie. Okay, so how we've been doing this, when we first chose the paths that we're doing, the lovely people in the live chat decided in which order we're doing things. So we decided that we spoke to Agathon first, then we went, then there was like there was somebody here who took us to church, then we saw Hope. I wanted to see what the gangrel's like, which would leave D'Angelo the Nosferatu last. But let's go and see this Somebody's Watching Me bit. Somebody's Watching Me, Part 1. Recently, you're feeling as if somebody keeps tailing you. Time to confirm your suspicions. Someone is following you around. Has been for a few nights, maybe longer. This can't be a good thing. The only question is, what do you do about it? Provoke the stalker to appear. Well, Sophie said that she's busy, so I don't think that would be a good idea. I don't particularly want to keep running back to the sire if something happens, but there's also the issue that in tradition, Camarilla tradition, if we do something that makes her look, if we do something that makes us look bad, it makes her look bad. What do you think? Chat, 1 or 2? And I'm going to pick the first option that I see. Do we go running to Blood Mummy, or do we provoke the stalker to appear? Whilst you decide, I have some eye drops to put in my dog eye. She has a dry eye, doesn't have tear ducts in one of her eyes. Yeah, because the whole setup of this is we were sired by a Toreador and he buggered off. We're supposed to be dead, but Sophie stepped in and saved our ass. So she's our adoptive sire. And it's one of the traditions, the Masquerade being another one, the accounting. Run for Blood Mummy. Alright, choose that one. Alright, I'm just going to deal with my dog's medication. I'll be right back. I'm still be around, but yeah, I've got to move. Basically. Oh, you're so sleepy. You're so sleepy, Holly. Oh, God. Oh, my goodness, you're so sleepy. Holly, wake up. Holly, I've got to put your drops in. Go back to sleep, that's it. There we go. That was barely anything. Most of them were freaking eyelid. decent amount of eye gel. There we go. Now you can go back to sleep. It's a bit cold. Oh great, now that I've put your feelings, you're going to get up. No? Okay, back to sleep you go then. Now as I'm playing this, I'm just very, very curious about how this differs from the other pathways. Because unbeknownst to all of you, I had a look to see how the Ventry one starts and got a couple of the trophies, getting myself killed. Anyway, I'm really enjoying this. So I know what it's like. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Emma. But in my defence, you moved. Okay, here we are. One little drink, as my throat is dry. This is clearly something more serious than you... This is clearly something more serious than what you can figure out on your own. You have to ask Sophie for help. She must have experience of all kinds of stalkers, invisible or not. You make your way to Sophie's apartment, feeling watched the whole way. It would be better if you could shake the tail, but something tells you that's impossible. Oh, dog, stop pushing me out of the way. My cavapoo, Emma's literally just pushed my legs off the sofa, just so she can wedge herself up next to me, which I think is adorable. But I'm not having that, because that's giving me a wedgie. So, there we go. Oh, God, you big lump. Oh, sweetie. Anyway, sorry. Far too happy and serious. A ghoul lets you into Sophie's apartment. Well, we know the ghoul. It's fucking Gregory. Anyway, you're not sure how many servants she has, but oh, this is a different ghoul. You're not sure how many servants she has, but their civility creeps you out. Does vampire blood do that to people, or is it just Sophie's personality? The ghoul tells you that Sophie is not in and bids you wait in the living room. You do as directed, settling down on a sofa. As you sit contemplating Sophie's decor, you feel strange, as if the feeling of being followed on the street never really left you. You don't have time to think more on this because Sophie strides in clearly in a good mood. Absolutely, and I wouldn't have it any other way. It was the same with my cats as well, actually. Like, if they're inside the house and I just sit down on the sofa, they wake up, boing, lap, it's mine. If it isn't my favourite stray. Oh, fuck you. And thanks. Am I imagining it, or have you started to dress a little better? You stand up, too worried to waste time on small talk. I'm being followed. Some creeper's been tailing me for a few nights and I can't shake them off. So you led them here. I appreciate your initiative. This is the cause for concern, to be sure. In fact, Sophie looks around the room, suddenly startled. I can't believe it. As Sophie stands up, ready to face whatever danger she senses, an invisible force pushes her aside, her servant standing in the doorway. You hear the door to Sophie's apartment open and close. Sophie sighs and settles back down as the ghoul disappears, into the hallway in a vain effort to catch the stalker. I suppose I should scold you, but in a town full of Malkavians and Nosferatu, that's probably useless. Sometimes this happens. This is embarrassing. You should be careful. I'll assign one of my servants to watch your haven. You leave Sophie's apartment chastened and confused. If invisible Orlocks and Jesters, which, by the way, are nicknames for Nosferatu and Malkavians, respectively, Jesters being for Malkavians, Orlocks, Nosferatu. Orlok, believe, comes from the name of the Nosferatu in the silent film, Nosferatu. Anyway, if invisible Orlocks and Jesters can follow you anywhere, how are you supposed to stop them? Well, you are a Toreador, you have all specs. You can see this shit. Perhaps it's all part of the game Kindred seem to play with each other. Hard to say if that makes it better or worse. Okay, we can only rest now. Creepy Stina. Oh, hello. A nosy reporter. New York is a city of paranoia, having... Yeah, imagine so. Okay, Faith and Myth Part 1. We can go back to Church Boy. Benoit, Seagull, wants to meet you again at the Cathedral. You wonder whether that is a mysterious priest will be there. Orlok, well, it's often stereotyped that the Nosferatu live in the sewers, so they in smell. I mean, but as we found out from Kaiser, he's a Nosferatu and he doesn't live in a sewer. I think unless you're getting that confused with a Samedi, which are the hideous corpse-looking things that do reek. There's a sleazy reporter from a gossip magazine sniffing around Sophie's haven. She could use your help with the problem. At what point in the dialogue did she say that we have to help her with that? Okay, this is really opening up a bit now. I hardly think we're ever going to get the chance to speak to these two. Or the other coterie members, for that matter. They aren't very... Yes, I can imagine. Many a Nosferatu. So, I feel that we should deal with the nosy reporter. Especially if she's helped us out, we should help her. The street lights filter into the apartment in a stark white glow, as if someone was shooting a movie outside. The art pieces display a tasteful expense entirely fitting the image you have of Sophie. It feels as if there are 1,000 sins have been committed on these premises, most of them under her benevolent hospitality. Sophie comes to greet you as you enter the living room, shaking her head. On the wall... Shit. What book or books is that? Because I must read that. That sounds really intriguing. Because I know in Vampire the Masquerade Redemption, the first World of Darkness game, there's a bit where you go through like the New York sewers, and I just presumed, and it was filled with Nosferatu, and I just presumed that was a thing. The good old Nick Tuku. Well, good in inverted commas. Sophie comes to greet you as you enter the living room, shaking her head. Oh, of course, yeah, that makes sense. Ah, cool. Come to think of it, I'm surprised that neither of them are here. I have to keep my eye out for that. I'm just going to take a little break, simply because I'm taking a picture of my dog. Like... Boop. Right. You can see why I would never be able to do this sort of thing. Ah, makes sense. But Peach has joined us for the last... Actually, she's been with us with all of the previous streams. Anywho. Sophie comes to greet you as you enter the living room, shaking her head. You understand that people judge me based on... Judge me on how you dress, don't you? Sophie looks at your clothes as if resigned to your sartorial limitations. I've had other things to worry about than shopping for clothes. Sophie walks to the window and looks out. Ah, it's a phone ringing. I should go and see who that is. One moment. Dogs, you stay where you are. Bloody well hanged up before I could get their number. I won't say what it started with because that will reveal the person's location. Emma, come here. Come here. There's a good girl. Yes. Sophie walks to the window and looks out, the street lights playing on her features. She reminds you of a queen contemplating the unfortunate limitations of her subjects. You'd think that as a vampire, at least we wouldn't have to worry about the vultures of the press. Unfortunately, when you have the power and ability, there are always parasites trying to feed on you. I'll go and beat the bastard up. Did we have a journalist friend? Is there a reporter after you? Yes, a terribly persistent creature. Sophie steps away from the window and settles down on a sofa, a wine glass with red liquid in it. Blood, treated as not to spoil. You've become good at noticing the scent, even from a distance. She doesn't offer you any as you cautiously sit down from across her. This awful man has been stalking my apartment with a camera. He's gone through my trash, talked to the neighbours. Please be a dear and explain to him there's nothing for him here. Auspex. I wouldn't have thought we would have been able to read her mind, given that we are super weak and she's super strong. Fuck it. You're enjoying this, aren't you? I can see it in your face. Nonsense. Some rancid beast is stalking me, that's all. It's just the secrecy of the masquerade is a bore sometimes. A necessary bore, but a bore nonetheless. Isn't this dangerous? For all kindred? Just having a bonus insight. Well, I didn't think Auspex worked like that. I thought it either sensed auras or allowed you to read people's thoughts. And you, like, speak to them mentally. Of course it is, if we don't make it go away. Do I get something out of this, or am I just your servant? You get to enjoy my protection. Time for you to go. I have business to attend to. I wanted to choose one snarky remark through all of this, and she was probably the safest person to eat to. Auspex isn't it a feeling to feel? Auspex... aura perception, heightened senses, being able to read people's thoughts and speak to them mentally is my... Oh, and to see people who are using obfuscate, that's my basic breakdown of Auspex. You leave the apartment as Sophie disappears into another room. You don't have a clear idea of the game she plays with the city's mortal and immortal power structures, but she always seems to be making a move. Welcome to the Jihad. Outside of the street, there's a slight warm drizzle, the kind that gets under your clothes and makes you want to take a shower when you get back to your own haven. No reporters immediately jump out to you. Here's an example of Auspex. Use enhanced senses. Literally just what you're saying, Helton. New York smells of people. Thousands and thousands of them packed together. It takes a moment for you to get to grips with the full panoply of sensation, but once you do, there's one that sticks out. Cheap aftershave, the strong imprint of someone who has hung around the building a lot, strong enough to persist despite the light rain, stale cigarette smoke, sweat. Absolutely. You've come to the Law by Night YouTube channel, so you shall leave here with law tonight. You follow your hunch as you walk closer. You reflect on how sometimes being kindred makes things go so easy. Makes things so easy. You enter an alleyway, a dark, dingy space between two tall buildings. Once upon a time, a place like this might have worried you, made you think of muggings and violence. Now it's clear that the most dangerous thing here is you. The man you are following seems to realise this too. He holds his camera in front of you like a shield. It's a heavy objective resting on his paunch. With a start, you recognise him. You remember the face. The shaded... Oh dear, he's someone of our past as well. Oh right, so that guy literally was a journalist friend that we were supposed to know about. Great. You remember the face. The shaded sunglasses from the picture next to a beeline in a trashy paper. The article was about a friend of yours, an artist who reported to be dating a celebrity. It was true, but the celebrity didn't want to be associated with your friend and broke it off afterwards. For months, your friend cursed Dorcatry's name. I'll just go with Frank. Hey, don't go around scaring people like that. Oh, right. Hey, don't go scaring around people like that. Yeah, I noticed those too. When I first saw it, that made me startle a little bit. Well, it worked then. Welcome to Knuckletown, fat man. Let's make this fun for at least one of us. Whoa, whoa, I'm a reporter. A lot of scoops here in this dirty alley. You can't be a journalist if you're not willing to get your hands dirty. Do you live here? I'm working on a story about a local resident. Her name is Sophie Langley. Everybody knows her in high society circles. From the way you look, I'm guessing you might know her too. She's a redhead, pretty as a picture. There was a lot of pictures of her through the years. So my phone just buzzed. Oh, right, just Twitter notifications. The way that they buzzed, I thought someone was phoning me. Anyway, that's the thing, in fact. Look at this. Frank pulls out his phone and starts showing you pictures. Some have been downloaded from news sites, whilst others are photos from the society pages of newspapers from past decades. All show Sophie. She has different clothes, hairstyles, makeup, names, but the face remains the same. They're all hot. Incest is not wincest, man. That's not cool. We're trying to get rid of him. And so I think the best option is not to pander to him too much. But as this is part one, it doesn't seem to matter what we're going to choose, but I'm going to pretend the notion that we can get rid of him as quickly as possible. Yeah. Maybe. I have no idea. So you're a stalker of some sort. Come on, I'm just doing my job. Yes, you're a paid stalker. I don't like these options because they're making us feed his ideas. It's just, the game's making us want to do the thing that it wants to do rather than the thing I want to do. I'll go with the top one. So why does this matter? Maybe it doesn't, but people are always interested in staying young. 3 words. Extreme plastic surgery. All the celebrities do it, only her doctor is better than the rest. Yeah, plastic surgery apparently. You look critically at the photo is on Frank's phone. Hook me up. You're looking for a doctor in the alley? I'll go with that. You're thinking the world's best plastic surgeon is working out of this alley. Okay, fine. I don't know what this is about. So how about you... How would you explain it? I don't like these options. Can't we just fucking use presents on him and just make him fancy us or something and make him walk off a bridge or something? I know presents doesn't work like that, but it does get... Presents is a far more subtle version of dominate after all. Have you considered the possibility that those pictures are a hoax? Sure, anything could be a hoax, but I dug up these old papers from the archives myself. I've got to have something usable. Alright, here we go. Got a chance to get rid of him now. Beat him up, or threaten him with illegal... Nah, fuck it, violence. The powers of the blood make Kindred fearsome killers. Looking at Frank, you decide that you can administer this beatdown without help from your undead nature. This was the wrong moment to develop professional pride. The thing's to try and make him question himself. I think we've gone beyond the point of questioning him now, because I just want to beat him up. Hey, 69 comments. Nice. This was the wrong moment to develop professional pride. This was the wrong moment to develop professional pride. You punch Frank in the mouth. Perhaps the most important thing about your new vampiric existence is getting used to violence. You have to hunt. Defend yourself. Yes, I've tried sorting this out before, but either with my phone or with this. I can see if I can join the chat via my phone again and see if that makes any difference. I might have to leave shortly to grab my portable charger, but... Right. Let's see what happens. I'm going to have to rearrange some of my furniture so I can see... Well, not furniture, but the pop-up table and the mug. Anyway. Frank falls down on one knee. This is not defending yourself. Please, don't. You smack Frank across the face. You feel his perspiration sticking to your skin. Blood wells from his mouth, and you have a sudden urge to bite down and drink. Sophie probably wouldn't appreciate a corpse in an alley next to her home, so you restrain yourself. Frank is on all fours on the wet ground. You pick up his camera and casually fling it into a wall. The telephoto lens breaks off. Oh my god, please, don't. Run your mouth and I'll break the rest of your teeth. Frank staggers upright and runs out of the alley as best as he's able, leaving his ruined camera behind. You look after his receding figure, wondering if he'll have the courage to return. Cool. We dealt with the nosy reporter. Right. I want to go and see the church boy. Benoit, who took us to church, as it were. Because I want to find out what he is. Because he's Cainite. It'd be an interesting time to explore true faith, I reckon. You've started to look at the churches differently since your last encounter with Benoit. Yeah, it probably will backfire. But you know what? Fuck it. It might do. It might not. But I have a feeling that... Because remember, the Fiend said... You got to save more often, Laurie. Yeah, the real problem with this, though, that the only way you can save is to pause and save and exit. So I have a feeling that unless we die, we can't go back and redo what we've done. So I suppose we've just got to live with this whole perma narrative, as it is, or permadeath, or whatever. Right. You started to look at churches differently since your last encounter with Benoit. You're not sure what happened inside, but it was unavoidably real. You felt it. When Benoit mentioned that being in the presence of Father Anthony's faith would eventually kill someone like you, an undead being, you believed him. It doesn't seem to be very common, though. In New York, you pass thousands of people every night, and none of them have made you feel afraid and insignificant. Okay, I've just noticed the delay between phone and TV, and there's not that much difference. You can't redo anything when you die. The save game is deleted immediately. Oof. Well, shit. Oh no. Okay, that's cool. I mean, cool in the sense that it's sticking to the whole permadeath thing. Right. Same goes when you finish the game. I presumed as much, to be honest, because there doesn't seem to be a chapter select that's going to pop up. Yeah, really taking the whole final death thing seriously. Alright, is this like barely a second between the delay on the phone and television? I'm just closing the thing on my phone. Right. If you were to encounter someone like Father Anthony in the subway or nightclub, you would know. There are many churches in the 5 boroughs, and you're pretty sure most of them don't contain someone whose faith can touch you in this way. Yet you've become wary. They just might. Still, tonight the cathedral looks as before, a striking landmark acting as a symbol of faith for people who have no idea that vampires exist in their midst. For them, questions of faith and myth are theoretical and philosophical. For you, those same questions suddenly define the meaning of your new existence. You sneak into the cathedral like an old hat. Oh, for fuck's sake, why? As if going to the church has been a regular part of your life. Inside the cathedral is almost deserted. You're not sure if you'll be meeting Benoit alone. You spoke to him outside. He's not in the church. Well, at least I hope he's not in the church. The idea of feeling Father Anthony's faith on your undead flesh freezes you with terror. Benoit is waiting for you in the front pews of the cathedral in the exact same spot where you saw Father Anthony. Worried, you approach, but you don't feel the touch of faith that shook you before. Benoit nods at you as you sit next to him in the pew. Cool, he's here. Aren't you worried about meeting here? What if your friend, the priest, returns? Don't worry. He's not here tonight. You've had some time to think. I'm guessing you found the touch of Father Anthony's faith hard to ignore. Yes. He's, a previous episode, we had this opportunity to meet this Kindred in a church. We entered the church and there was a Father Anthony, and he had a lot of true faith going on. He made us flee the church just because of the overwhelming power of it. Like, we were just like begging for forgiveness. Like, I'm so sorry, Father, I'm sorry, and then we just had to flee. You've had some time to think. I'm guessing you found the touch of Father Anthony's faith hard to ignore. For most people, God's presence is a question of faith. When I talk with Father Anthony, it feels like proof. Benoit is fervent, intense as he speaks. It's clear these questions have consumed his existence. Perhaps they consume yours too. Well, it's not kindred cult. Well, I suppose it is kindred culture, but not in the sense that I think it's implying. Which one, folks? 1, 2, or 3? I feel the first option's the best option, in that if we're trying to buddy up with him. Three? Alright. What did the kindred of the Camarilla believe? The old ones. Oh, the old vampires, they're not freaking Lovecraftian gods. It's true the elders are not always so good at teaching their childer. Maybe the Camarilla would function better if we all knew these stories. I don't know. It's just when we first came here, he entered the church and he discovered true faith for the first time, in that the vampire, the masquerade equivalent of true faith, you know, speaking to the Father. We were forced to leave, we were in pain, we were begging for forgiveness even though we didn't do anything, so to speak. So I'd imagine that a kindred who's new to all of this and then experiences that, would begin to question faith. Benoit looks around reflexively to make sure nobody's listening. There are only a few people in the enormous cathedral, and they don't seem to be interested in two loners murmuring to each other in the front pew. It might seem like ancient history, things that happened thousands of years ago, but times work differently for our kind. If the stories are true, there are Methuselahs still in existence who walked the earth just when Jesus was alive. Methuselahs, for anybody who is unaware, if we refer the different... Vampires are like onions, they're different layers, right? At the very top of you've got Cain, who's the first vampire, and he sired three, Enoch, Ziliar, and Irad. They're the second generation of vampires. Below them are the third generation, who are 13 of which. And the 13 founders of the 13 vampiric clans. And the Methuselahs are generations 4, 5, and 6. Absolutely. But you'll remember it now. I hope. You know what? I think that's going to be the episode title. The only problem is that old vampires lie. They adjust history to suit their egos. The winners, of course, write history. Surely something was written down before the Masquerade was established. Now I know the answer to this, but I want to see what Benoit was going to say. Of course, the Tremere have many interesting manuscripts in their libraries. I've seen a few. Oh, okay, I wasn't expecting that. At all. If you have the chance, I recommend looking at them. This is how the story goes. God cursed Cain as a punishment for the murder of Abel, Abel being Cain's brother. Referred to the Old Testament, Genesis 4. Or was it Genesis chapter 4? I can't remember. I'm no Christian or Catholic, so I don't really know. Cain walked the night shunned by humanity and drank blood to sustain himself. Even from the point of our origin, we are damned. However, the story became really interesting when we move forward. Cain creates more of our kind, often referred to as the second generation. Oh, he's basically going to describe what I've just told you with our onion analogy. Would manuscript be written in Greek or Latin in Kindred society? That is a very good question, because I think what I was hoping he was going to refer to is the Book of Nod, which is essentially the Cainite Bible. Greek or Latin? I suppose... Yep, I know exactly who you're referring to with that Seth. As punishment for murdering his brother, God cursed Cain, granted him superpowers. Oh, God, I love that Bloodlines review. I love all of Seth's reviews. Seth... I think, is it Seth? Hey, 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 people. Seth here. Anyway, moving on. They lived in the first city, later called Enoch, ruling openly over the city's human inhabitants. He's hilarious. I see the first city as Cain's redemption. That's an interesting way of looking at it. Cursed by God to wander, he remade himself as a ruler and lawgiver, acting as an immortal shepherd to humanity. It only started to go wrong when the second generation begat the third and vampires started to run amok. Yeah, pretty much. Well, you could argue it went wrong when Cain decided to pass on his curse because it was really his curse to bear and his curse to bear alone. Ooh, suck on that, Cain. There's some information that suggests actually that there were actually a time where there were more ghouls than vampires. If you can trust the information in the Ghouls and Revenants V20 book, which you'll hear a little bit about in a couple of weeks' time. Law by Night teasers. What happened to the first city? It was lost in the deluge. Noah and his ark to save them. but our kind had to rely on our gifts of blood. Some of them... Well, I think... No, I'll shut up, that's wrong. Never mind. If you're sceptical about the piece of history, remember that even a local flood can bring massive destruction. True that. There's a flood in my house a few years ago. Like, small little thing, but it came through the light bulb. It damaged some of the equipment I have in my room, but... I mean, it's not massive destruction, but, you know, it's just a little bit of water. Okie doke. Be back soon. After the first city, Cain largely departed the story. Perhaps he was disheartened by the depredations of his descendants. The antediluvians went on to build a second city, in imitation of the first, but it's doubtful their rule was just. Oh no, I don't think it was at all. Just moving about when my dogs want to go outside and do things. Prop the door open, don't turn off remote control. It's interesting that we still call them remote controllers, because what control is wired these days? There are people moving in the cathedral. Both you and Benoit have made sure none get close enough to hear you talk. As Benoit goes on, your undead senses detect something that deactivates the normal hubbub of devout mortals, cathedral workers and tourists. You hear the squeaking wheels of an old wheelchair that hasn't been taken out too often. Man 1. I don't know why that makes me laugh so much. We've been doing this stuff for 20 years and you still pull your stuff like this, Michael. Why did you bring your sister? We're on the field. This is no place for the disabled. What? The voice is that of an older man, Midwestern. He sounds exasperated, as if he was rehashing an argument for the 100th time. Man 2. She wanted to come. She doesn't get out of the house very often. Besides, you should be grateful, Bobby. We would have never found our new partners without her. The second voice belonging to an old man too. It's more intense and still holds echoes of Russian accent. Yes, because she talked about vampires online. You got your door busted in by the FBI, as I remember. Oh. We did. Sure. But we cleared the misunderstanding. Now we're consultants, so quit your griping. Woman. Bobby, Michael, play nice. You sound like an old couple. The third voice has a heavier Russian accent that belongs to an older woman. All three have clearly known each other for a long time. Oh good, Doggo's coming back in. I've been having a large wee. Prop the door closed again because it's freezing despite being incredibly sunny. Ah, piss, knocked over the bucket full of stones to keep the door open. 1 second. Like I said, I couldn't do this streaming shit seriously. I don't do it seriously, and I refuse to. I do this as a thing on the side. In conjunction with the podcast, which I take seriously in the sense that I want it to sound nice and all, and the information's conveyed clearly. But beyond that, I doubt very much I'll ever be in a position where I want to be paid for doing what I do. Anyway. I like it too. It's very relaxed. Chillaxed, I think, as the kids say. Oh, now Holly wants to come up. No, you don't? You changed your mind. Alright. Yes, we've done the bit about the Russian accent. Let's find Father Anthony and see if he can help us. From what I've heard, he's an exceptional man. Going back to the stream bit for a moment, like, I find live streams and Twitch things usually very off-putted because, like, they interrupt every 5 seconds. Like, you know, thanks and the subs, thanks to the subscribers, blah blah blah, and things pop up all the screen all the time. It's just meh, can't be asked for it. Like, so much effort, and it's just so distracting. Dog's on the road again. She'll eat the cat food. Nope, shut the door. Cool. Yeah, exceptional. But he doesn't like moles. You nudge Benoit and discreetly point out that 3 people approaching you along the cathedral's central aisle. He nods in understanding. This is bad news, whoever these 3 are. We need to get out. Let's meet outside. No, we're not using celerity in the church. Because they're looking for vampires. These guys are Second Inquisition people, and they see us just fucking blink out. They know we're vampires. Better not to call attention to yourself. You decide to move to the side of the cathedral, pretend to pray at an altar. You walk casually towards the side, away from the pre-approaching mortals. You feel their eyes boring into your back, but you force yourself to be cool. Benoit's nowhere to be seen. You blinked and he disappeared in a burst of speed. Oh. You worried it was too conspicuous, but maybe the mortals missed it. You see, I have this strange feeling that Benoit's a La Sombra. Yeah, I was thinking they were either Inquisitors or the like. So yeah, I think Benoit's a La Sombra because, you know, there's the old association that they have with the church. He could be Malkavian, but he seems fairly sane. He's not too ugly to be a Nosferatu. I'm trying to think what other clans have Obfuscate. Could be an off chance that he's a member of the Ministry, the followers of Set. Yeah, I forgot about that. There is that DLC that's coming out, but I'm sure we will find out in good time. You pretend to admire the architecture for a while before glancing back at the trio. They have settled in the exact spot you just occupied, apparently waiting for something and conversing in hushed tones. Once you're sure their attention is elsewhere, you start walking briskly down the side aisles towards the exit. That was a close call. Fuck you, Benoit. I think we got out without being seen. You were pretty fast. Such are the gifts of the damned. For a second, Benoit looks like if he was wondering whether he should say something. There's one thing I've always wondered about the story of Cain. Well, he also could be a caitiff, I suppose, but... Oh, I really want to find out what he is. I can't pinpoint what he is. There's one thing I've always wondered about the story of Cain. The traditions of the Camarilla put a lot of faith in the relationship between sire and child. He has celerity. It could have been that. I got the impression from the dialogue that it was... Yeah, somebody said in the previous episode that he might be Toreador. But no, don't tell me. I want to find out. It's all part of the fun for me. You're supposed to follow the example of your maker, yet Cain didn't really seem to care for the vampires he embraced. Well, some would argue that he was lovers with Ziliar, but that's a conversation for another time. Did he think it was a mistake to create our kind? My sire left me. Is that common among kindred? Yes, unfortunately. The kindred are selfish and cruel. You know, I'm Sophie's child and you're her protege. Oh, okay. Toreador it is then. It's amazing that we share an appreciation for the mythologies of our kind, considering Sophie has a little interest in questions of the spirit. Ah. Alright. You stare at Benoit. You knew there was something he wasn't telling you, but all in the talk about Cain and the First City, you forgot about it. The only question is, what does this mean? Does Sophie know her child is talking to you? Probably not. Don't hold it against me, but I admit finding some pleasure in seeing you suffer the effects of Father Anthony's faith. I suppose that's the demon in me. Potence? What? He's a Toreador, he shouldn't have potence. Unless that woman in the parking lot was a Ventru. No, not Ventru. You know. Nah. I understand that you're better, Benoit. I'm not your enemy. I'm sorry, I know that. It's just that sometimes I too get tempted by sin. You know, we should meet again. We've talked so much about myth, but maybe that's cowardly when the reality of faith is right in front of us. I'll introduce you to Father Anthony. You nod, unsure whether that's a good idea. Benoit walks away and you follow his example, not wanting to hang around the cathedral any longer. Oh, it's a bug. Well, I can understand Auspex a little bit because I believe the Ventrue anti-Tribu have Auspex. Yes, I was just thinking about that when you said about the sin thing. That bug, is that a console version or is that exclusive? Sorry, is that a PC thing as well, or is that exclusive for console? So I was just adjusting my headset. Oh, it's PC as well. Okay, that puzzles me a little bit because there was a huge delay between PC and console release, and I would have thought that would have been fixed. Anyway, bitter remarks aside, we rest once more. Kadir al-Samal, the Sheriff of New York, is knocking at the door to your haven. Yeah, I would have thought so. I mean, as I said, with a huge gap between the two. How strange. Anyway, the sight comes as more of a little than shocking. If he had business with you, you'd either expect him to see him already inside, or never see him coming at all. There's a lot of toreadors in this game. We've got the guy who was Sophie, there's myself, there's Kadir, there's Benoit. Lots of toreadors. Not that as a bad thing, of course. It's actually a really good lesson of how to do toreador because each one's very different from each other, and they all just don't like music or art. Oh, my dogs are all snugged up next to each other. Sorry. Yet there he is, on the other side of the peephole, patiently and politely waiting for you to let him in. You carefully unlock the door and face him in silence. Evening. May I come in? Nah, fuck off. You simply stare at him. Oh, I don't like this music. Oh god, this is for beating the shit out of that news reporter, isn't it? Oh god. You simply stare at him. Your lack of an answer doesn't faze him, and your lack of resistance as he starts walking inside has obviously been interpreted as a permission. Once inside, he starts looking around you as you cautiously stay by the door. Haven't really had the time to make this place your home yet, have you? It feels like Langley's apartment through and through. A secluded study where nobody studies anything. Look at the books on the shelf. Obviously meant to impress guests, not to be read. They revel nothing about their owner, aside from the aching desire to be taken seriously as an intellectual. Ooh. He picks one of them up and smirks before putting it away. The phenomenology of spirit, next to all this garbage poetry. We can make a bet. If she's read more than 20 pages, I owe you $50 and a gallon of blood. The kind of place that self-professed hermits entomb themselves in to suffer. Considering how much you have to run around these nights, you probably only use it to shelter from the sun and rest, right? Even though he's obviously making an effort to come off as non-threatening, it's impossible to forget the first impression he made. You still see him as a fierce predator trying hard not to expose his true colours. You sense a familiar fight-or-flight response as you struggle to find a diplomatic answer to his last question. If Kadir is bothered by your silence, he doesn't let it show. He keeps walking around, toying with whatever he catches his eye. Eventually, he speaks up again. Watch any baseball lately? If I had a guess, you strike me as a Red Sox fan. Now he's inviting you to talk in a more direct manner. You attempt to overcome your physical reaction to him and reply as casually as you can. Yeah. Which one, chat, should we go for? 1, 2, or 3? Your mind keeps going back to the night when everything was changed forever. Walking up to the hell with a body next to you, spending a night in the underground sweatbox, unsure of what will happen next. That endless car ride, 3 strikes. A bloodthirsty crowd. That blade. A rebirth, a baptism by fire, a threatening executor who made sure the flames scarred your spirit. As you look into his face, you realize he's read the emotions from yours. Not in the mood to exchange pleasantries, There's nothing animosity in his voice. There's no animosity in his voice. He's just stating a fact. Let me get straight to the point, then. He momentarily stops caring about his surroundings, turning all his attention to you, and demanding the entry of your attention in return. You see, there's something I've realized over the years. In large part, I may have hired just to look menacing with a sword, but my job is all about seeing through bonds and relationships. The Camarilla would be safe as long as its members adhered to certain social contracts, making their deadlines and affinities plain for everyone to see, but that obviously remains a pipe dream. This is a community of born conspirators, overly ambitious gangsters and politicians, monsters in denial, all sorts of tragically broken individuals. They are driven by desires that makes them incompatible with the Masquerade, incompatible with prolonged survival of the Camarilla, incompatible with the methods I used to operate. This is about beating the shit out of that reporter, isn't it? And so, I am doomed to be like a cop. Oh yeah, Kadir's the sheriff, by the way, in case you hadn't worked that out. Constantly insulted behind my back. Maybe for good reason, but immediately called help whenever someone loses their tableware. Or like an Agatha Christie protagonist, outwardly assisted by everyone, but constantly lied to about everyone's pasts and motivations. Even if my failure to solve the mystery might be the end of us all. He tries to sound like he's peacefully resigned to his fate, but it's easy to detect a tinge of regret in his voice, a voice belonging to someone who had bigger ambitions than this. What broke him? So you see, for this detective, the why done it is far more important. Isn't it who done it, rather than why done it? I suppose why done it works as well, but the expression is who done it. Anyway, the why done it is far more important. Oh, okay, I should have read the whole thing first. So you see, for this detective, the why done it is far more important than who done it and how done it. When you understand all the players and their mutual obligations, you easily understand every crime. Just going to take a water drink thing? A drink of water. Yes, I can English. But of course, the Kindred know it, so they devise ways to make my job much harder. Just like conspiracies between 2 unrelated actors that depend on scratching each other's backs for mutual security. Of course, or they enforce a blood bond to make someone unexpected their thrall. A boss serving their employee, a rebel serving a tyrant, just because one is regularly being forced to drink another's blood. Blood bonding, for anybody who isn't aware, is essentially the process of making mortals and vampires the slaves to other vampires. 3 servings and they're totally tied to you. I can't remember how long it takes for it to break without feeding. I want to say a month. It's either a month or 6 weeks or a year. Anyway, it takes a while to break a blood bond fully. Although you can shorten it by killing your lover, or the lover being... not lover, sorry, the one who's bonding you. Yeah. What has Sophie seen in you? Why does the prince keep asking me about your actions? How come you're being pushed to build your own coterie so fast? Okay, so this isn't about the reporter. Or maybe it is. I don't know. Cool. Yes, it's a very... The Anarchs don't... Well, they're not supposed to blood bond. The Sabbat don't really blood bond in the same way the Camarilla do. They have more of a ritual where a pack, which is their term for a coterie, they drink a bit from each other just to prove loyalty. And there's a whole system in place to do that properly. You are surrounded by unclear motivations which yourself don't understand. That unnerves me, and it should unnerve you as well. You unnerve me. I would feel that we'll get a slap from him if we... All of these get a slap, I reckon. Which option? 1, 2, or 3? No, not 2. 1 or 3. Valordery. That's the word. Oh, Valaury, yes. Or was it Valordery? Valordery, because the Vinculum was the breaking of blood bonds during the Dark Ages. 1 or 3. Why are you here, or you unnerve me? Decide. 3. Cool. Is it you who... It is you who unnerves me... Oh shit, I don't like how he said that. That's alright, it's a bastard word to spell. It is you who unnerves me. You made one hell of a first impression. Finally you managed to raise your voice. Kadir notices the effort and smiles softly. So you haven't gone mute since the last time I saw you. Good. Well, I'm here for a selfish reason. I need to develop a rapport with you to better fulfill my obligations. The last time we met, I couldn't see you as my equal. Now that you've accepted into the Camarilla, what choice do I have? Oh, he cares for us, really. He's a massive old tsundere. I'd understand if you didn't want to see my face again, but I'm one of the faces of the New York community, and as long as you're part of it, it's going to be impossible to avoid me. Especially when I have business with you, and I do. As you might have guessed by now, one of my tasks is uncovering and understanding your bonds, and one of them might endanger our community. Well, that's not menacing at all. Who is he talking about? Bonds. It's one of those two. But why has that come up? I'm tempted to choose the last one. What should we think? What should we choose? 2? Alright. You mean someone I'm trying to recruit into my coterie? Kadir shakes his head. I'm monitoring them and they know it. If they're breaking the rules, they're doing it the right way, meaning I haven't learned about it yet. Unless you might want to share something. A moment of awkward silence. Well, we've only actually just formed relationships with 2 of them. Joking. Mostly. He produces a file from underneath his coat and passes it to you. This is our troublemaker. You open the file and see some printed photos. You freeze up as you recognize the face and are overwhelmed by a flood of repressed memories. Oh. For those who didn't watch the first episode, that's our sister. And we told the sheriff about our sister as like the only person that we speak to. Ah. Oh, this is going to be a real tricky scenario. I think we're going to have to be made to kill, or I hope not embrace. We're going to kill our sister, Emma. Which is also the same name as my dog. The only person who's kept you hanging on all 3 of these years. Uh-oh. Yep. The only person you have in your corner of your never-ending fight against the world. You've kept your shit together so far. Try not to think about her until you got everything sorted out. But seeing her face brings a lump to your throat. You look up at Kadir, expecting answers. I'll be frank. At first, I thought you were a total commercial failure. Someone destined to eventually disappear from the streets of New York without a trace or one soul to care. But we told you of our sister. You know who she is. Oh, she does know who we are. But it looks like your sister is the best guardian one could ask for. Lots of friends in high places and lots of favours to collect. The word is she'll do anything to get you back. I got the impression she hated us. Because she was really snobby. The risk of endangering us is relatively low, but far from non-existent, which means your sister must be stopped. Must be stopped sounds threatening. You dread thinking what he's planning. I'll arrange for you to meet tomorrow, so that you can straighten the situation out and say goodbye to the life you've forsaken. You arrange what? Your eyes must look like saucers right now. Usually these matters are left to my discretion, and I can't think of an easier solution. The lost sheep reapers takes care of unfinished business and disappears, never to be seen again. Nobody cares. He's actually doing us a huge favour for letting us to meet her before she disappears. He shouldn't be doing that. I believe so, because in the prelude, well, lack of a better term, when we started off as a human and we were embraced, and when we met Kadir for the first time, just after we were embraced, and our sire, who's not Sophie, buggered off, we had the choice of telling Kadir if there was anybody close to us, and we chose to tell him of our sister, who apparently we have really close feelings for, even though from the dialogue I didn't get the impression that he liked her at all, and vice versa. Anyway, so as far as we're concerned, if you play Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition, when you're making your character sheet, you have to assign touchstones who are like mortals, who are like keeping you clinging to humanity. You describe it as a conduit stone, which I kind of like that, actually. They should have gone with that. But yeah, basically, as the sheriff, I do not think he should be telling us that she even exists. I think he should have just killed her by now. So the fact that he's telling us this, he's kind of a nice guy, all things considered. It's simple, it's clean, no contrived schemes, no unnecessary victims. Yeah, he should just kill her. The fact that he's letting us say goodbye, and I'm telling her to leave us alone, that's also risky for him, because he could get killed himself. Good guy, Kadir. Yeah. It gives me an opportunity to learn more about you as I observe. When neonates interact with kind they used to hold dear, their true natures are laid bare for everyone to see. Remember that generation thing I mentioned? You had the antediluvians, Methuselahs, which are generations 4, 5, and 6. Beneath them are the elders, which, for lore reasons in the V5 timeline, they're not really around as much. They're generations 7, 8, 9. You have the ancillae, which are generations 10 and 11. And then you have neonates, which is 12 and 13. So I'm hazarding a guess that we are of generation 13. Or 12. Yeah, it is unusual that well, I presume this has obviously been done for a plot thing to see how we interact with the character. But character-wise, we've already seen his brutality when it's down to business, so he must have some pleasant feeling towards us if he wants to give us this send-off and letting her live. Or at least he's telling us all of that so he can kill off in the darkness when we're not paying attention. Of course he's invested in being kind to you, or he's making clear his self-serving intentions so that you don't start figuring them out yourself. Any objections? Well, me, the player, doesn't have any problems because she was a bit of a snobby bitch, and I don't like snobby bitches in the art world. Oh, and I just spilt my water down my stop. Any alternatives are probably worse. You shake your head. Very well. I'll arrange a meeting and drive you there tomorrow. Better come up with a load of bull that's easy to swallow. Possibly. I can't remember. It was in the second episode where we were taught how to hunt, and Sophie took us out to some park, and we encountered an anarch who we then captured and took to Elysium, who was executed. We had an option of speaking to him afterwards as he was cleaning his sword, and we thanked him for, saving our ass, and he was confused and a bit happy, and he was just a bit restrained by it. So he could well be a lot sinister than he appears to be, but part of me seems to think that he does care about you and your circumstance. He's a bit sympathetic towards it. Anyway, time will tell. Or it won't. Oh, I have no idea what I just pressed there. He disappears from the apartment, leaving you as confused as the last time he closed the door on you. God damn it. You need to think it through. I mean, just look at that face. That's just like a prissy bitch that just needs to slap. Anyway, sorry. For a long time you just sit in your haven, lost in your thoughts, trying to come up with lies that will convince the only person who's ever seen the real you. You see, I thought he was an Assamite too, but Kadir is actually a Toreador. Sophie told us in the second episode that he's a Toreador. Really interesting for a Toreador, so I imagine his art form is combat or swordsmanship or something, because he has a curved sword as well, a scimitar, which is a curved sword. So I presumed he was an Assamite, which would make her for a really fucking cool sheriff. But no, apparently he's a Toreador. Like I said, there are so many Toreadors in this game. Okay, so we can explore people again. Oh, somebody's watching me part 2. Oh, last time you failed to resolve the situation with your stalker. Ugh, we're not going to be able to see these two at any point, are we? Alright, let's get this stalker shit out of the way. Walking down the street near your haven, you suddenly spot a young, dishevelled woman leaning against a wall. She looks you straight in the eye and disappears into the alley. She is your stalker. You're certain of it. You take a few running steps to catch up with her, determined to find out what this is all about. Ducking into the alley, you come up in a grisly scene. Upon a grisly scene. An old man, a pensioner really, lies broken on the ground. Telltale puncture marks on his neck. 3 vampires stand above the corpse, licking their lips. All were embraced young, 2 men and a woman, black hoodies, bicycle chain, a facial tattoo. I don't know, if this isn't a group of anarchs, I'll eat my hat. You've never seen them before, and you assume you know why. They're anarchs. Hey, it's that Camarilla fucker. Just as promised. I like beating up these privileged little shits. You walked into the simplest ambush in the world. The woman you saw briefly at the mouth of the alley is nowhere in sight. Perhaps there shouldn't be surprising given her obvious powers of invisibility. I'm not fighting them. Shall we run or try and calm them down? 1 or 2. Run away and say bye. Alright. You know what? Let's do this another night. Bye. There's a chain link fence at the end of the alley. You engage the powers of your blood and run past the anarchs, vaulting over the fence. They run in pursuit and one has supernatural speed too. However, she struggles to keep up as you slip from alley to alley, taking a shortcut through a small park and vanishing into the subway station. It's difficult to keep up with vampiric speed, even if you have similar powers. Once you emerge back above ground, you wonder what this means. Your mystery stalker was clearly willing to engage in the masquerades to get you beaten up. Yeah, in V5 lore, the anarchs don't care so much for the masquerade anymore. They still follow it, but not to the extent that the Camarilla would do. They're more flippant with it, I should say. And because we've used the power, our hunger's gone back up, which is why the red fiends have appeared around the screen. Yet, it didn't like they were going to kill you. Whatever it was, your reflexes saved you from a full face of hurt. No, I think they were going to kill me. Oh, fuck off. That did not take the full night. What, in the extent that they don't care so much for the masquerade anymore? Just bits that I'm remembering about the V5 book. The Camarilla have gone in completely lockdown in that they don't allow mobile phones or technology because ShrekNet was compromised by the Second Inquisition. Well, it was hacked into by the NSA, the National Security Agency, which then encouraged the formation of the Second Inquisition when the NSA told the Vatican about what was going on, and the Vatican were like, oh yeah, we've known about this shit for hundreds of years, go and talk to the Society of Leopold. Those two formed and became the Second Inquisition. Whereas the Anarchs there don't care to it as much as the the Camarilla do. They still use technology and things. They're kind of like a light Sabbat in the terms of the Masquerade. They follow it. They obviously don't show their vampire natures too much. But I'm just judging it that and snippets from LA by Night, the web series Chronicle, on the World of Darkness Twitch and YouTube pages, previously Geek and Sundry, because that apparently is canon to the Bloodlines meta plot. Anyway, it's an Anarch Chronicle, and just seeing how things are being portrayed there. That, or it's just Jason Carl going for narrative over rule setting. Yeah, basically. Well, I mean, they're not supposed to use phones, but people, in a game, you'd probably get round of it somehow. Yeah, that's another bit as well, because a huge bulk of the Anarchs are Bruja or Bruja, depending on who you ask, and they've never really paid that much attention to the tradition of you've got to ask permission before you embrace. They just embrace who the fuck they want and then just dump them. Anywho, knock knock knock. You'd ask who's there, but you don't know if the Sheriff of New York would play along. When you open the door, you see him toying with the car keys he's holding in his hand. Ready to go, fledgling. You don't feel like it, but you give him a nod nonetheless. Nevertheless. Excellent. Stay close. He leads you down to the vehicle he's parked nearby. Once again, he takes the wheel, literally and figuratively. Everything inside is just the way you remember it, down to the rear view mirror reflecting the intense stare of your guide. However, the trip itself feels notably different. The last time Kadir drove you around, he was forcibly dragging you away from your old life. This time, he's pulling you back into it. Let me tell you how it's going to go. As I said, I've arranged a meeting between you and your kin. It's going to take somewhere you should know very well. Sorry, that was just me knocking my watch on the table I've set up. I'll watch over you two from a safe distance to make sure you adhere to the rules. You should know those very well, but I'll reiterate just so you can't say I didn't warn you. Don't do anything that would violate the Masquerade. Don't establish some secret routes of contact. I will know. Do treat it as the last time you will meet. Take this chance to wrap everything up. Here's your story. You're fine. You found yourselves at a crossroads, decided to radically change your life and move out of the city. The subway is unbearable, the rent is too high, you've heard it all. However, you wouldn't leave it for good without saying farewell to the only person who cared. He gives you a compassionate stare. It's going to leave a scar, boy, but a true artist knows that those are something to hide. It's going to leave a scar, boy, but a true artist knows those are not something to hide, but to display with pride. You're a fresh corpse. People who meet can still leave a mark on you. One night, a long time from now, you'll realize collecting new wounds. The car makes a sudden turn. I'll leave the finer details to you. Just be so kind and don't make me regret it. You can sense he's going out of his way for you, but doesn't try to force you into gratitude by stating it plainly. If you know, you know. He'll see if you are worthy of his aid. Indeed. We're here. You take a look around and recognize your destination. He was right. It is a familiar place, right next to that of the exhibition space, the one where you met your future sire. This is where you saw Emma for the last time. This is where they last saw poor Caesar. Who knows whatever might have happened to him. That's what your sister is trying to find out. I took the liberty of messaging her in your stead. She's up there, waiting for you to come and explain yourself. Ugh, excuse me. I don't know why I'm yawning. I'm enjoying myself and I'm not the slightest bit tired. Anywho, he turns off the engine and relaxes comfortably in his seat. You suddenly leave the car and head straight for the exhibition space. The elevator ride up just doesn't seem to end. After what feels like 5 hours, but in reality is close to 30 seconds, you finally reach your floor. Em is standing there, looking at the paintings. She's trying to act carefree, but is holding onto a bag a little too tightly. When she hears your footsteps, she's startled, then sees you, and her eyes immediately fill with tears. She runs up to you and gives you a hearty hug. God damn it, Caesar! God damn it! You stay in her arms, silent for a while. The bonds of the blood run deep. This feels right. You're so cold. What happened to you? You look into her eyes and start searching your heart for a lie that would satisfy her, if only a little bit. I'm guessing the second one because that's closest to what Kadir suggested. One or two? What do you think? Two. So you see, I met this man, and he was interested in art, and the art I make, and he was from the other side of the world. You stop mid-sentence. It's perfectly obvious that you're not exactly telling the truth, and the expression makes it obvious that she knows. What happened, Caesar? Talk to me. All the life-saving work she sent your way, from the concept artist's job to this very exhibition. I've been losing my mind talking to literally everybody I know to ask the last time they saw you was. All the time she helped you get your shit together. I've always been honest with you. The least you can do is return the favour. She has, and she absolutely deserves to know, but she can't. Kadir is waiting downstairs. Caesar! Her voice startles you. Your first instinct is to run. And like the beast you've become, you trust it. Caesar? You can't do this. Not now. Not like this. She watches you, Kindred, an undying creature of the night, zoom away from her, run into the elevator and press the ground floor button. Oh dear. That might be the last time you ever see each other. At least you look her in the eye and force us to tell her one last thing. One, I guess. Don't search for me, for your and my own good. She's too stunned to react as the elevator doors close. You slide down the wall, hiding your face in your arms. You find your own priorities disgusting, but what gets you down the most is not the fact that you failed to give closure to the one only person you cared about. It's more that you failed to make this farewell beautiful. It makes you feel like a failure of an artist. Even with all of this newfound power, you still can't express yourself through the canvas of your life. You're still stuck in your old ways. I have to say that is some brilliant writing and concepts about his changing character dealing with his touchstone. I like that. That's actually made me feel a little bit tearful over somebody I didn't particularly like. Anywho. But you know Em, she'll take the pain you've caused her and use it to make art that resonates, that sells. What if authentic trauma is the best gift you could find to repay her all of her generosity? Jesus Christ, you're disgusting. If you consider all of these emotions commodities, no wonder you're a failure as an artist. Yeah, because Caesar, well, he thought about killing himself, actually, on the first episode. He took out to have a cigarette on a pier, and he was looking down, and he was coming out with a title piece for his masterpiece. This is before he was a Kindred, mind you. The elevator door opens. Better run while she's still up there. Back to Kadir's car. Once you close the door, he instantly puts his foot on the gas pedal. Walking off the pitch with no regrets? Said everything you had to say? Kadir sighs. Yeah, that's what I gathered from here. I'll keep an eye on this situation. Frustrate her somehow if she won't stop looking. I've got some well-tasted methods. Non-violent, of course. He gives you a good stare in via the rearview mirror. See, I believe he does care, because he just, as it was said earlier, he's just fucking off her head right now. He could go back up there, crack that bitch open like a can. But the fact that he's wanting to get rid of her non-violently is respectful. You're an artist, aren't you? You nod half-heartedly. So you of all people should know that things never work out the way you plan. There could always be more time to plan, tools that could help you execute it better. Perfection is just an accident. The only thing you can do to give it your best shot given the circumstances and immediately move on to the next thing. When all is said and done, regret is nothing but narcissism and a waste of time. Regret is nothing but narcissism and a waste of time. Yeah, he is. As I said, he doesn't have to be doing any of this. And I really admire that. I mean, I had heard prior to playing this game that Coterie is a really good character, but I obviously didn't do any research to find out why. Like, I have no idea what's happening with this game at all, other than it's a visual novel. And Vampire the Masquerade. And it's in New York. He's actually been more of a father, well, guardian figure than our actual adoptive sire, in a way. I mean, she taught us how to feed, but that's about it. Blood, Mummy and Daddy, Coterie and Sophie. Sophie, your coterie. Those are the materials you've been given, and they're potent ones. Make the best use of them, so they might create something more beautiful than your artist tools ever did. And as a side note, I envy you. I wish I still had someone to make my knees feel like a jelly. Even when you can't see them anymore, just knowing that they keeps you in touch with what you once were. The car speeds up to cross an intersection before the light turns red. You give Coterie a good hard look. Why are you not mean to me? Thank you. Oh, for fuck's sake. There's a difference between thank you and thanks, don't you think? It's like thanks. Thank you. Ugh. It doesn't feel like a, how do you call it, very vampire thing to say, but you say it nevertheless. He's visibly taken aback, and his usually furrowed brow smooths out for a moment. Then he takes on a serious, slightly sorrowful expression. Don't suck it up to me, kid. Mr. Bad Guy is still here, and without a doubt he'll go back to decapitating suckers like you any time now. Oh, God. Yeah. Oh. Blood Daddy Coterie. Yeah, thanks or whatever. That's how I read thanks. That's why when I saw thank you, that's a far more generous. You know, it's just one word and it just makes a whole other meaning. I'm sorry, but that response of Coterie is just fucking adorable. The car starts slowing down. We're here. You look out the window and see your haven. Take care. I'll see you around. Just pray I don't have to see you too often. You leave the car and start walking to your haven, thinking about Coterie. Can't say you're fond of him, what with the welcome he gave you and all. Caesar, you have shit taste in men. No, it's not. I don't know whether that's a clan thing, like the Toreador saying one thing, the Ventrue saying another thing, you know. But, I mean, I'd expect there to be some discrepancies, but when it says thank you, I want it to say thank you. And there's been some instances where I've said things as a Toreador and it's been very rude. Yeah, I mean, it's a problem with lots of games. I may get a kick in the neck for this, but the only game that I feel delivers almost exactly what you want all the time is Skyrim. Like, you choose an option and you get the sort of response that you expect. Anywho. You're going to need some more time to understand him, that's for sure. Oh, the reporter's back. You've taken care of Frank Blur, but apparently there's someone still stalking outside Sophie's apartment. He's not that stupid, is he? God, we've done two... We've started 2 of the coteries so far. Nosy Reporter Part 2. I suppose we should go and deal with Blood Mummy's stalker issue again. The weather is cold and windy as you walk to Sophie's apartment. As a vampire, that doesn't matter anymore. You may have startled with eternal hunger, but at least you can ignore the wind chill. Yeah, good point, it's a reporter. We literally kicked his teeth in. Just as you come to the door of Sophie's building, she storms out murmuring into her phone. Yes, I know, don't worry. I trust you to handle it. You've heard Sophie talk to her associates before. It's always the same, gentle and vague suggestions. It makes you think she's involved in a mysterious machinations, yet doesn't tell you anything. Sophie is dressed to kill, but there's nothing unusual in that. She likes to make an impression. A black car with tinted windows is waiting for her at the front of the door. A chauffeur steps out of the open door, out of the door for her. Sophie notices you. I'm glad you're here in the neighbourhood. If you could look around for me one more time, that would be wonderful. You told me that you've gotten rid of that reporter. Turns out he's still here, snooping around. Sophie is very good at communicating disappointment. She doesn't have to do much to make it clear that she's unhappy to have to see the return to the issue. I thought he was gone for sure. He didn't seem very brave. Sometimes cowards are even worse than those with a backbone. They're sneakier. The reporter talked his way into the building during the day. Once the doorman understood what was happening, he threw the reporter out. He showed old pictures of me to my neighbours. It's very awkward, you understand. Sophie disappears under the car and the chauffeur closes the door behind her. You watch the sleek vehicle disappear in the Manhattan traffic. Just one anomalous car among many. Best sit down somewhere and devise a plan of action. Just let me kill the fat cunt. You go to the nearby diner, settle into a booth and order a coffee from a steely-eyed Latino waitress. I don't know if that's a bit racist or not. Anywho, as she brings you your cup, you describe Frank Blair. You don't know his surname, or do we? I don't remember. Anyway, Frank to her on the off chance she's seen something. Yeah. Just as she's about to answer, you happen to look outside. Something catches your eye. The diner is brightly lit. You lean closer to the window to see the street through it. Huh. Yeah. For Kilpatrick. What a guy. You got lucky. Frank is standing on the sidewalk on the other side of the street, looking at something on his phone. You slide out of the booth, throwing a small sum of bills on the table. Mumbling something to the waitress, you step outside. I don't see how Auspex is necessary here. Actually, no heightened sense because he might be wearing that cologne again. You keep out of sight and follow Frank patiently. His scent is so strong that you don't have to see him to stay on his tail. He disappears into the alley. It's different from the last encounter, but could as well be the same for all the protection it's afford him. Yep, we've gone with the Auspex option. Just think of the cologne and that he was wearing. Oh my god, it's you. Please don't hurt me. Frank cradles his new camera in his arms, terrified of what you'll do to him. You came back. That was a mistake. Let's talk a little so we can figure out what kind of mistake it was. Please, I'll talk. Just tell me what you want. How come you're here? I thought we agreed there's no story. Usually when someone says there's no story, that means there is a story. I just couldn't let it go. Look, I don't want any trouble. I can see that you're serious. There's something to Sophie Langley. I think you know what it is. Oh, he's not infatuated with her, is he? You take a long, hard look at Frank. He's a tenacious man, but not brave. After the last time you met, you were sure he had been dealt with. Where did he find the courage to come here again? A woman like Sophie, there's always something. But is it worth the pain? Look, I need a scoop. I need a story. I need something that says Frank is on top of things again. Nobody respects me. Do you know how that feels? I used to be someone, a promising young journalist. When you fuck up, there's no sympathy. People enjoy seeing you fail. I don't care about Sophie Langley. I care about Frank. I'm not asking for much. Just one story that isn't trying to get a shot of a celebrity's underwear. You almost believe it, but something about Frank feels off. As I'm presuming he's immortal, we can use presence easily to woo him. This should work. If it's not work, Caesar is literally the worst toreador. You don't say anything at first, but it's easy to dismiss Frank as a joke, a has-been. Yet there's something beneath his talk, another story. A moment of silence is all you need for your presence to properly register in Frank's mind. He's too weak-willed to resist. Something's leaning on you, Frank. Come clean. What? No, absolutely not. Frank's voice sounds shrill. You know you got it right in one guess. Sometimes I just need some extra money, that's all. Where does this extra money come from? There's a guy. He's paying me, that's all, but I can't talk about that. Oh shit, we can just drink him dry. Oh, offset Frank to work for you. I'm gonna push him from instant information. Come on, you can give me more than that. No, really, even I don't know all that much about these people. You're a reporter. What do your instincts tell you? I'm not sure. I can't get a handle on them. I don't think it's blackmail or business rival or an ex. Yeah. I did warn him, but this is obviously going to lead somewhere, and I'm going to get the info first, hopefully report it to Sophie, and then hopefully we can get rid of him, if you get my meaning. God, the delay on that is quite bad now. Okay, that's enough. I can't tell you anything more. You've got to consider the position I'm in. We're not done, Frank. Fine, I'll leave her alone. I'm done with this. It was all bullshit anyway. You can tell Sophie that you won't see me anymore. As Frank leaves the alleyway, you consider your victory. He sounded defeated, sincere. Is it really up to him whether he returns or not? I swear to God, if we don't see one of these fucking... Oh, for fuck's sake. Faith and Mystery Part 3. Huh. What to choose? Alright, let's go and see Benoit again. Or should we not? Nah, I'm seeing Benoit. Approaching the cathedral on the street makes you nervous. You've been here twice, and twice something bad has happened. Or almost happened, as in both cases you ran away. Benoit suggested it's time to stop running and experience faith head on. Perhaps he's right. Maybe it is cowardly to take refuge in rationalizations when you know what you felt. Faith is very interesting, and I haven't found many online chronicles where people employ it. And I wish it was something that was done more. Maybe it's just... I don't know. It's rather vague in how it's used, and how it can be used. Perhaps he's right. Maybe it is cowardly to take refuge in rationalizations when you know what you felt. The holiness of the priest and your own damnation. Walking towards the doors of the cathedral, you glance at the bench where you sat when you first met Benoit. He's waiting for you, sitting and contemplating the cathedral's Gothic architecture. Are you sure we should be meeting here? Don't worry, we're not going inside. Benoit looks different than before. Intense. Certain. You've had some time to think about what we spoke of before? I want to learn more about Cain, and where we all came from. All in good time. I have something different in mind for you tonight, as you surely remember. Let's go see Father Anthony. It's not best to talk in the cathedral, so I arranged for us to seat him at his home. I have a car nearby. This better be on the level. This better be on the level, Benoit. We're beyond that kind of tough talk, don't you think? You follow Benoit as he walks down the street until you come to his car, a surprisingly pedestrian family sedan. The essence of the Masquerade is inconspicuousness. Nobody expects a vampire to drive a car like this. Benoit drives north towards Queens. During these moments you feel most anonymous. Just another speck of dust in the vast machine where every action influences the whole in the tiny ways. The one thing you've learned about the Kindred is that they are not lacking in self-regard. The Prince of the Camarilla city is said to rule over the domain, yet how much do they really affect mortal affairs? If you ask a vampire, they'll say a lot. Perhaps that's what's made Benoit turn inward, the fertility of finding meaning in a secret predatory existence. Yes, I'm intrigued by his motives, and because he sent us a letter, initially, to meet with him. Sophie didn't tell us about him, and she still hasn't told us about him. What a pretty tree. I have mixed feelings on Benoit. Very mixed feelings. Benoit stops in front of the red brick row house, a little run down but probably not cheap. Benoit notes your interest. Father Anthony comes from an old New York family. He inherited the house. When I first met him, I was suspicious, so I checked up on him. Despite the way he keeps putting you in dangerous situations, kindred paranoia seems to come naturally to Benoit. Perhaps that's something you could learn from him. Did he even give any... other than saying that he's a child of Sophie, no. I don't think he did anyway, he just said that he was a child of Sophie. Isn't this a masquerade breach? I suppose. But we make ghouls all of the time we hunt. The masquerade is threatened regularly with much worse than this. Oh, so the... I should have got it really. The father's his ghoul. Okay. You follow Benoit to the stairs, looking around for any signs of an ambush. You get to the door. The first signs of trepidation hit you. The discomfort, the pain that will follow once you're inside. It feels like a physical thing, a burning sensation under your skin, in your blood. You look to see how Benoit is taking it. He's smiling, eyes closed for a second before knocking on the door. If he doesn't feel pain, he wields true faith himself, I would have thought. Almost as if he's enjoying the sensation. Or a sadist. The door opens and you see Father Anthony's kindly face. Your body feels as if it's in a vice. You haven't really been bothered by how hot or cold since you were embraced, but now it feels like the surface of your skin is overwhelmed with some sensation. The fear and terror are paralyzing. Yes. You barely hear Benoit's whisper. Come in, you two. I might not know much, but I know enough not to do this on the porch. You force yourself to follow Father Anthony into the apartment, despite the splittering headache and rising panic. It's hard to take in your surroundings. Everything seems to vibrate, seeking to engulf you. Framed portraits on a mantelpiece, a cross on the wall, a living room with lots of books, many of them old. I'm not sure I can offer you anything. You don't drink tea, I suppose? Yeah. What, spending the sunshine in the darkness? No, we don't. Yes, of course, happy birthday. Sorry, that didn't register properly. Happy birthday to you. Is this holiness? Why do it feel like pain? Oh, my child, I understand that. Thanks to your condition, you're under unusual stress. Please, Father, you know this is difficult for us. You'll forgive me if I don't waste time. Father Anthony, you're very welcome, Michael. Father Anthony looks panicked, whether because of... Oh, and also, thank you for spending your birthday watching this potato stream. Father Anthony looks pained, whether because of the rudeness or out of sympathy for your condition. You can't tell. He motions you to sit down, but you and Benoit are both too agitated to do so. You feel trapped, like a moth being smeared against a burning light bulb. It's hard to look at the Father Anthony, but you can't look at anything else either. Benoit is starting to look increasingly unhinged. His eyes look as if they have seen something divine beyond just the outside. I'm going to attempt that sentence again. Benoit is starting to look increasingly unhinged. His eyes look as if he's seen some divine beyond just outside of the grasp of your senses. Now's the time, my friend. You have to decide if you're ready for salvation. Prove your faith by embracing the Father and let his radiance envelop you. Yes, I'm ready. Benoit smiles cruelly as you fall to your knees in front of Father Anthony. Yep, I thought all of those actions were going to be bad one, but we'll see what happens. If this stream is cut short, I will do everything within my power to catch up to this point, even if I have to spend all night doing it. Startled, Father Anthony takes a step back. Benoit, what are you doing? Father, it's time to be redeemed. For both of us. Uh-oh. Benoit falls to his knees next to you, lifting his face in full embrace of the embrace of the holy agony. He might be, but it's all very hazy at the moment. I'm sure he will come up in conversation with her at due course. We might not. I have no idea what he's up to. This is not right, Benoit. Everyone has a chance for salvation. I understand there's something in God's presence that burns you, but you can work through it. It is. I'll see what he says next and how I can act. Please, Benoit, there are many paths to salvation and we'll find yours. I won't hurt you and your friend. Benoit moans in pain, stricken with grief and disbelief at Father Anthony's refusal. Please, Father, they don't even believe. Not truly. Is a we they, assuming the whole non-gender specific thing. Which is good. I mean, I was a bit jarred by it because Caesar was a bloke. Anywho, Father Anthony looks at you and seems to waver. Even his disbelief in salvation has limits. Profess your belief. Would they really send you on a goose chase just to have you killed like this? There has to be some sort of path of where I forgot what I was saying. This is all very curious. I'm just trying to think what best to do. Run away, kill the father. No, I didn't want to kill the father because that's going to cut off, for certain, that's going to ruin our chances of doing something good with Benoit. Profess your belief. Yeah, father seems alright. One? Yeah, I'm just a bit cautious that it might just get us killed. It's tricky. Hmm. True. It could, but the father does... Benoit implied that he was a ghoul, so I was in complete silence just thinking about what to do. I shouldn't have done that. Hmm. Okay, I've decided what I'm going to do. I have a... Because you were asked... So, which one of you was asking about, does Sophie know of him? Go for the spine feeling. I'm going to run away, because I feel if we do this whole true faith thing, it is going to get us killed. Because it is very deadly. Because when we first met him in the cathedral, it nearly killed us. And I'm going to hope, if we run away, we're going to get an opportunity to tell Sophie about Benoit. So, Mr. Michael, or Mrs., I don't know how you like to assert yourself, I'm going to use celerity, and hopefully we can escape this madness and see... Because I feel this is going to kill us. I have a real hunch in my chest. This has gone too long. You must summon the last reserves of your blood and escape. In less than the time it takes to blink, you're at the door and outside, using your vampiric speed to escape the pain and fear of Father Anthony's holy presence. You're about to stop at the curb, glancing back. You realise Benoit is right behind you. The philosophical, rueful Benoit is gone. Yes, I did. Apologies, I hope you haven't taken too much of offence. Anyway, the philosophical, rueful Benoit is gone. Instead you see a man twisted by resentment and abandonment, burning with hate towards you. The mask is off and you realise he wants you to burn under Father Anthony's touch, even he has to force you to do it. You're fast enough that most bystanders You're fast enough that for most bystanders you're just a blur. A quick movement that's already gone by the time they start paying attention. Still running on the street does no favours to the Masquerade. There's 1,000 cameras on the streets of New York as you run past pedestrians. The odd of someone starting to wander increase. Benoit is past caring. You hear a low growl as he gains on you, fangs out, ready to tear at your neck. You duck into an alley hoping there's somewhere for you to go. A homeless man stares right at you as you streak past. Benoit can't be far behind. It's not very dignified, but beggars can't be choosers. You jump into a dumpster and pull the lid closed. You lie still in the stench of the garbage. In moments like these, you're grateful for not having to breathe. Is Benoit still outside? Did he fall for it? You wait for what seems like an eternity before you cautiously lift the lid of the dumpster. Just the alley. Benoit is nowhere in sight. You escaped. You're safe, but the implications of your experience are troubling. What does this mean? Whether practical or spiritual, it feels like you have to think about this for a long time. You're free to return to your haven, and there is a distinct temptation to keep the events of the night to yourself. Yet these events cannot be good for the Masquerade. We'll go and talk to Sophie. You make your way to Sophie's apartment. I'm very glad that was an option, because I feel if we did that we would have just died. And besides, you're right, Michael. I think or whoever said he was trying to kill us. I think he was trying to get rid of us, and all of this spiritual stuff was nonsense. You make your way to Sophie's apartment, seeking comfort in the anonymity of the crowds of the New York sidewalks. Some are coming from a late shift at work, others are going out. You nod to the doorman and slip into Sophie's building. Go up, knock on her door. Sophie opens the door in the middle of a phone call. She motions you to come in and she mumbles assent to the phone. She could be talking to earth-shattering secrets or an acquisition from an art gallery. Following Sophie's cue, you sit down in the living room. A few moments later, Sophie ends her call and sits down opposite you, regarding you with a usual mix of parentalism and disdain. You appear shaken up. That's not a good look to cultivate in the world of the Kindred. Tell her that both must be punished. I have to tell you about something about Benoit, your child. Benoit? I haven't heard from him in a while. Where did you dig him up? Benoit is talking to mortals about us. You have to ask Kadir to put him down. Oh, alright. I wasn't going to give the option then. Oops, sorry. I know, exactly. I wasn't going to choose him. But I suspect that, in my line of thinking, through Benoit they'd find about the father anyway, but you're quite right. Let's not drag him into this unnecessarily. Sophie looks at you with such anger for a moment you're afraid she'll slap you. The moment passes as soon as it came. She looks lonely for a moment before speaking. I suppose you're right. That's how we deal with wayward childer. I'll have to talk to Kadir about Benoit. Let's keep your name out of this. Poor Benoit. He never did come to grips with his nature. You leave Sophie's apartment unsure whether you did the right thing. Despite everything, Benoit showed you something that's impossible to dismiss. In the coming nights, you'll have to decide what it means. If faith is real, what is the role of a vampire? Which myths can you build your life on? Perhaps one day you'll find your way back to Father Anthony's door. Oh good, we can choose the other paths now. Oh yes, absolutely. Hello, Helton. You've missed quite a lot. We suspect that Benoit, the Toreador with the church, was trying to kill us, and he's Sophie's child. And we just told Sophie that what he did, and she's just sent Kadir after him. What else happened? We dealt with the Stalker. They're a trio of anarchs. Well, we haven't dealt with them, we just know that they exist. What else? Oh, the reporter came back. Were you here with the reporter? There's a reporter who was shooting photos at Sophie's apartment. We beat him up once. We came back and we've convinced him not to come back. Or convinced, I use in inverted commas. Yeah, there's quite a bit that's happened. I feel Benoit's going to die shortly. Because Benoit took us to see the father, and he tried to get the father to use his true faith on us. Okay, cool. It was the first encounter, and then he came back a second time, where we found out that somebody sent him to take pictures of Sophie. Emma too. Oh, Emma, yes, of course. Kadir had us meet our sister Emma to say goodbye, only we couldn't come to say goodbye. And we had this very interesting discussion about how Kadir was actually being very caring towards us. Because he should have just killed her. Like, didn't tell us about her. Shouldn't have even told her, given us the opportunity to meet her. He had this big old heart-to-heart with us, and yeah, blood daddies. Unless I've missed anything, I think that's a good place to call it quits for today. I've just seen the time, and I'll have to prepare dinner for my family and I. I should read these new ones, these new dictionary entries. There's probably a trophy at the end of it. Right. Unless anyone's going to remind me anything that I've missed. Yes, you do. If you haven't done already, go and find one of the previous Law by Night videos. You'll find a link in the description that will give you an invite that will send you to the Discord server. Read the rules, click on the thumbs up to say that you agree to the rules, choose your clan and sect that you represent, and say hello to the wonderful family in the chat. I'm quite... Well, That's good to know. So anyway, I hope you learned something new with the Law by Night podcast. And its very knowledgeable members in the Discord server. Yeah, very lovely people. I'm really happy at how lovely the servers turned out. Because I have this bit of history with Discord, and I've been on some really unpleasant servers, so I'm glad that the first server I made has been a lovely little place. Lots of fun and banter and memes. We've got lots of sick Vampire the Masquerade memes. Yes, I believe it meant new. Right. I have to depart now. So. Where's my remote? There we go. Until next time. Farewell.